guys, and welcome back to the Apex Online Racing Season 15 Championship, here today for round number 3 at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. If you haven't checked out China in the last race, then do make sure to go and do so now. But yeah, if you could also leave a like on this video, that would be much appreciated. It really does help me out. My name is Joe Wilks and I am your commentator for today. And yeah, just taking a look at the Season 14 podium in Azerbaijan. Of course, it occurred a lot later on in the season. It's been moved forward in the calendar for Season 15 in order to tie in with the real-life Grand Prix. But it was AOR Evo who took the win last season ahead of Veloce Limitless and the Flying Finn. So the three of which are still in this year's, this season's championship. So it'll be interesting to see how they battle it out today. Limitless took pole last season with a 140.2, so the drivers will be looking to get underneath that 140 mark today. And we should have a cracking race in store if the real-life Grand Prix is anything to go by. But without further ado, let's get into qualifying. The qualifying comparison for this lap of the Baku circuit sees AOR Evo on the left and CRL Rosberg on the right hand side, both now breaking down into turn 1, going down into 4th gear before straightening the car up and going into the second 90-degree left-hander of turn 2, shifting down into 3rd gear before getting onto the DRS of this long straight now, and it's all eyes towards turn 3, trying to pick their braking zones correctly now at the 100-meter board, going down into 4th, Evo actually into 3rd momentarily before now swinging it right into turn 4, straightening the car up now for this quite quick turn 5 and 6 chicane. Both of the corners coming up relatively quickly on each other, even though they are 90 degrees. So now into turn 7, and you can see that the lead that Evo has got is probably about a 10th and a half at the moment, before breaking now into almost a hairpin at turn 7. And this is one of the most iconic corners on this circuit, both braving it through the castle section of turn 8. In fact, Rosberg going down into 3rd gear, Evo only momentarily doing so just to get some good traction and drive on the exit. Now they're blasting through this section of turn 13, 14, and it's all eyes towards the braking zone of 15. And interestingly, the two of them taking different lines. Evo taking no curb, Rosberg taking a lot, and that has come back to punish the Toro Rosso driver as he does get a bit of wheel spin on exit. Now the final real corner of turn 16, and it's all about opening it up and getting the shortest run to the line from now on, through 17, 18, 19, and then the final slight kink of turn 20. It's just about opening the throttle up and getting on the DRS as soon as possible. But at this point, it's clear that Evo has taken this qualifying comparison and taken pole position for this race at Baku, and that is what the difference looks like. Taking a look now at the full qualifying classification, and AOR Evo became the first man not to be called Flying Finn that put it on pole in Season 15. He was just 12 1,000ths off doing so in Australia, but today he managed to put nearly a 10th and a half between himself and the current championship leader, with TRL Martin getting within 2/10 of the pole time. He will start 3rd, and he is replacing Danny M7 as the reserve driver for this Grand Prix. And his teammate for this race, OMG It's Joe, will start in P4 for the Red Bull team, with Veloce Limitless taking his best qualifying of the season, and he'll start P5 alongside EVR Reynolds, who also took his best qualifying of the season in P6. CRL Rosberg and Surprise make up an all-Toro Rosso 4th row, Surprise looking to follow up on an impressive podium last time out in China. EVR Morso will start in P9 alongside VSR Simon, and they round out the top 10. Starting P11 is STS F1 Alonso, who'll be disappointed with that time and is nearly half a second off his teammate and brother. Drawmaster will start in P12 for McLaren, and the 7th row of the grid is an all-Williams affair. Cyril Hamilton starting ahead of TOR Leopard, with Hamilton looking to score his first points of the season. Gouch has replaced Kyle Mitchell in the Renault for the rest of the season, and he will start P15 and is the last of the drivers to be within a second of the pole time. WOR Pinecone will start in P16 for the Haas team, who are looking for their first points of the season this weekend, with Sam F1 LFC, the only Sauber driver to be lining up on the grid this afternoon, starting 17th, and in 18th is LGS. Meanwhile, P1R Brown will round out the grid in P19. So the grid was set for this Grand Prix at Baku, and now getting to the 5 red lights, and away we go here in Azerbaijan, riding on board with CRL Rosberg. And it was a good start there, you can see, from Limitless, but he's a bit too cautious into turn 1, and that can't be said for the Red Bull drivers of Joe and Martin, who end up colliding with each other. Reynolds already up into P4, and Limitless losing positions, as does Rosberg. Surprise up from P8 up into P5. Very impressive from him, but Evo, he had no such bother like the rest of the pack. He is still maintaining his lead, and now Rosberg trying to go for a move on Limitless to get back up into his starting position of P7. Limitless down from P5 into 7th, looking for a move on Joe at this early stage, but no such luck for him. But he goes for the dive down the inside into turn 5 and 6, and he can't just bear it round the outside, and as a result has lost momentum, and now Rosberg's going to try and go down his inside, and it looks as if he has made the move stick. Has he? Yes, he has, but then he just gets wheel spin on exit, and Limitless comes through back into P7. Reynolds and Surprise had great starts to the race, and Surprise makes his 4th overtake of the race, overtaking Reynolds up into P4, but he runs deep into turn 1, and Reynolds comes straight back at him, taking that inside line for turn 2, and that is going to be a massive overtaking position in this race, as is turn 3, and that is where Surprise decides to re-overtake Reynolds up into P4. A pretty quiet start for the race for Morso. The same can't be said for Rosberg, however, who does manage to maintain position, and Cyril Hamilton retires, having a lot of problems with screen lag. Really disappointing for him. On to lap 7 now, and this race has been a slow burner so far, but Limitless now going for a move on OMG It's Joe into turn 1, the battle for P6, and both of them going a little bit deep maybe into that corner. They both do manage to get it slowed down in time. Limitless going to try and have to hold it round the outside if he is to make the overtake stick. He does get DRS though, and is up into P6 ahead of the Red Bull driver. Later on in lap 7, you can see here the battle for the podium position. Surprise on an absolute charge through the field, and Martin just gets a snap of oversteer. The back end steps out, and Surprise needs no more invitation than to go through into P3. Martin also with a bit of wing damage, and is he going to try and move into turn 1? No, he's not quite quick enough. Surprise up into 3rd. On to lap 9, and the drivers now starting to think about making their first pit stops. Evo coming into the pit lane, and it's been a pretty good stop for him, I think, and he should emerge into P3 ahead of the Flying Finn and just behind VSR Simon, who started on the soft tyres. The rest of the field follow Evo into the pit lane, so lap 9 looking like the lap to pit, but Alonso won't be pitting at all. Unfortunately, he has also retired from the race. He nearly won round 1, but he won't be finishing this race in Baku. So the only 2 drivers not to have pitted in the front bit of the order are TOR Leopard and VSR Simon. Both of them started on the soft tyres, but Leopard has disconnected, and it looks as if Simon is now going to come through for first place. That is so unfortunate for Leopard, who's had such a good start to the season after winning F3 in Season 14. So Simon comes through to lead. Also, Drawmaster is yet to pit in this race, but all the rest have come in for their one and only stops of the afternoon. Lap 12, and Evo is closing up on a Simon, of course, yet to pit. There is a bit of controversy over the fact that Simon started on the soft tyres when he qualified in the top 10 on the super softs, so you'll hear more about that after the race. But Evo makes mincemeat of Simon, but Finn is closing him down. Despite posting the fastest lap on lap 12, Finn didn't manage to dispatch of Simon for another lap, and you can see there at the top, on the left-hand side of the screen, that Evo has pulled a 2.6 second gap on Finn at this stage. That could be crucial come the end of the race, and it's going to be one hell of a drive from the Mercedes driver if he is to win here. Simon now comes into the pit lane at the start of lap 15, so that releases Surprise into the final podium spot. He emerges into P9 just behind Limitless, so it'll be interesting to see whether he can make up any positions in the final 12 laps. Lap 19 now, and after replacing his front wing, Martin finds himself a long way back. Surely not. Surely he's not going to go for that move. Oh my word. What an overtake into the castle section. And that is superb from Martin on Morso. Martin is on a charge, and at the end of lap 23, he's closing in on CRL Rosberg, who made up a few positions in the pit phase. And sure enough, Martin up into P5, and there's going to be some good points for the reserve driver this afternoon. Staying on lap 23, a little bit further up the racetrack now with the Flying Finn and NLR Evo. It's been a great second stint from the Mercedes man, really getting to grips with these soft tyres. That is only a ghost car of P1R Brown by the looks of it. Yes, it is indeed. So they should be able to negotiate him easily, but boy, is the battle on for first. Sure enough, come the end of lap 24, and Finn is going to get his first chance to try and overtake Evo. Evo goes to the inside of the track, but Finn, it looks as if he's going to try and cut back under him. And going into turn 2, he's going to have the inside line already ahead of him by the looks of it. And yes, he has got the move done. Evo will have the DRS. This is going to be painful for the man that took pole and has led for 24 of the 26 laps of this race. Finn goes defensive to the inside, and it looks as if he's made that move stick for the lead. This is it then, the final sector, or coming towards the final sector of the race. Evo breaks deep, tries to give himself a chance of a move, but it is not going to happen for him. So despite leading for 24 laps of the race, Evo will have to settle for P2, and it is the Flying Finn who takes 3 wins out of 3 this season. What a performance from him. Brilliant stuff. Meanwhile, further back, the battle for P6 is very much on. CRL Rosberg against EVR Morso. It looks as if it's going to come right down to the line. Morso has the DRS, and he's just about done it. Has he done it before the line? Yes, he has. What a move from the McLaren man. So it was a bit of a slow burner, but what a race it turned into in Azerbaijan. You can see there the Flying Finn taking his 3rd victory out of 3 this season on a maximum of 75 points, which is brilliant for him, ahead of NLR Evo. He's hardly led any laps this season, has Finn. I'm pretty sure Evo has led a lot more laps than him, as has his brother probably as well. But he's done it when it counts. And yeah, once again, the maximum of 25 points goes to him, with Evo in 2nd, and surprise, another podium for him in 3rd. Very much went under the radar, and what a start it was for him, going up from P8 to P3 relatively quickly at the start of the race. EVR Reynolds takes his best performance of the season in P4, and the same can be said for the reserve driver TRL Martin in his first outing of season 15. Finishing in P5. More so we saw there taking P6 just from CRL Rosberg, but they both do still score points, with Veloce Limitless in P8, WR Pinecone taking his first points in AOR, fantastic for the 14-year-old Haas driver, and OMG It's Joe took the final points for Red Bull in 10th. Now, if you were paying attention to the broadcast, you'd know that VSR Simon in fact finished in P9, but he was disqualified due to an irregularity in his, in choosing his tyres. He started on the soft tyres despite qualifying in the top 10 and on the super softs. Now the confusion came when the session was ended after a result of poor connection. So the session restarted for the race, the grid order was decided, and the top 10, as the rule states, you have to start on the super soft tyres. So that is the reason for his disqualification. But yeah, taking a look at the rest of the order, it was Drawmaster in P11, Sam F1 in P12, the only driver to incur a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and Gouch was the final of the finishers in 13th. TOL Leopard and P1R Brown disconnected, with STS F1 Alonso, LGS and CRL Hamilton all not finishing too. On to the drivers' standings now, and it's the Flying Finn, of course, on top from NLR Evo. But we've still got 12 rounds left in this season, so it is far from over yet. Surprise moving up into P3, staying in P3, but still brilliant performance from him once again. And STS F1 Alonso and TOR Leopard, despite not finishing this race, still stay in P4 and P5 due to their impressive performances in the first 2 rounds of the season. Limitless moves up into P6 after missing the first round of the season, with Cryo Lockdown, due to not turning up to this race, falls slightly to P7. 8th, 9th and 10th are also on 12 points, just like Lockdown, but Reynolds takes P8 courtesy of his 4th place in today's Grand Prix. Morso and Rosberg, of course, round out the top 10. On to the constructors' standings, and unsurprisingly, is Mercedes out ahead by 33 points from Ferrari, with Toro Rosso just the 7 points back from the Scuderia, even though they are a Scuderia themselves. But anyway, into P4, we've got Williams ahead of McLaren in P5, who are the big movers of today due to Morso's points. The same can be said for Force India, who'd only scored 2 points previous to today's race, but big 12 points for Reynolds take them up to P6. Sauber, Red Bull and Renault all fall with Haas staying in P10, but they have picked up their first points of the season, meaning all 10 teams have scored in the first 3 rounds. So make sure to join us next time for round 4 for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Promises to be a great race, and can the Flying Finn continue his winning streak? It's 10 in a row for the moment for the Mercedes man, but until then, I'll see you next time. Do take care, guys. Bye-bye.